Hi, I'm Tim of the 1916 Company, announcing our all-new 1916 Company app. Check out our all-new community features, including wrist time, where you can log the watch you wear, how often you wear your watches, and see a graphical representation of how you use your collection. But wait, there's more, because this wrist time feature allows you to post in real time to our live feed of user wrist shots. Our community functions also include professionally moderated discussions, all sorts of views, debate, insights into what people want to say about the watches of our times, and all your favorite features are coming back, including media, editorial from Jack Forster, video from yours truly. You can continue to build your online collection and your wish list, plus all the commercial features are back. Buy, trade, and sell through the app, browse our global inventory of pre-owned and new watches. A wrist shot could begin the process of a trade or a purchase. Find the 1916 Company app on the Apple App Store and Google. Hi, I'm Tim, he's Sequan. Welcome to the 1916 Company. Holiday season 2025, the aftermath. While we recover and convalesce, I'm sure we all need a vacation from that vacation. We've got 4 watches for your viewing pleasure and consideration, pieces we picked from the collection specifically to ease your sore head. So Sequan, as the audience convalesces and preps for the winter to come, let's talk about the watches we pulled from the safe.
Yeah, first of all, Happy New Year to everyone out there. Hope you're having a great season. This was an interesting challenge, Tim. It's like pick your favorite watches out of the hundreds of watches we have in inventory. So I took that challenge in earnest and I just scrolled the website and I look for watches that make my heart go a little extra. Boom, 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 boom. You know, so I got 2 great pieces here.
Very different pieces.
Very, very different sides of the world. First, I got the JLC Master Control Extreme Lab 2. This to me is just JLC at its just most aggressive modern form. You know, something that you wouldn't expect to see from JLC. I fell in love with this watch way back in 2016 when they were out in the wild. Grade 5 titanium, it's a chronograph, it's a GMT, digital chronograph as well. Movement is beautiful, over-engineered down to the buckle and straps. So many patents in it and just amazing watch.
Yeah, I mean, a really cool watch that I've thought of buying many times. I've decided, in fact, we can test here. So audience, you can be the judge. Let me know in the description below, but I've always decided that I could pass because the watch is too big for me. So I'm gonna let you guys out in cyberspace decide. Sequan, you can definitely wear this. I don't know.
You could pull it off, Tim.
What do you think?
You could pull it off. It's right there. I wouldn't go bigger, but like, you know.
For the type of watch it is.
Yes, it's a sporty watch. It's meant to be out there in the wild. You can pull it off.
Now here's the other thing. Listen to this, guys.
So cool.
Mechanical ratcheting lugs with prefixed detents. Now it's also got a quick release for the strap. It's got a radial power reserve across the top, a multi-function crown with its own column wheel, and a movement that has 569 parts. So pretty extreme, shock resistant, water resistant to 100 meters because the crown doesn't pull out. It's also got this hacking lever on the side where you can stop the movement. Really cool piece.
Yeah, no.
Why don't we see this on your wrist? Because I feel like this is going to be a better match.
You know?
This is going to be a better match.
You know, I fell in love with this watch. This is the same era when the dual mets were out. And when I saw this piece, I was just like, this is awesome. I'd take this over an RM any day. And I think this fits me. I might have to take it home.
Yeah, show that to the camera so people can see that.
There's vote yes for CQ on this. This is, I love this watch.
And it does come with a second strap, which is leather. And like you mentioned with the buckle has a quick release, so you can pop it off the strap and swap to the leather. It also has a double setting, so you have a short and a long setting built into the pin buckle.
Yeah,
maybe the world's most expensive pin buckle.
It's crazy. I think there's 4 patents just on the buckle itself alone. And just, again, this watch represents to me modern JLC, showing you that they can do whatever they want in any format they want, whether it be traditional or something more modern facing like this piece here.
Yeah, and it is a limited edition. That version with the blue accents on the titanium, I believe that came out in 2015. That was like JLC surfing on the last vapors of the first Jerome Lambert era.
Yes.
And all that money they spent on complications in the 2000s.
Lord knows.
So he's back. We can't wait to see what he comes up with next. Maybe it's time for a Master Compressor Extreme Lab 3.
I've been thinking about it.
This was the second. This is, in my opinion, the best version of the second.
Amazing.
Okay, so now fire and ice. You got the sports watch. Let's talk about the dress watch. I don't know, maybe this is the fire and this is the ice because rose gold just rubs me the right way. That is a warm look.
I've been looking looking at this watch on the website for a little while now. I love Glashutte. I think they represent such a great value in watchmaking today, especially on the secondary market. This PanoMaticLunar rose gold case with this one of the best green dials I've seen. Light little gradient there, almost fume, but not all the way smoked. Beautiful watch. You got your big date, you got your moon phase, beautiful movement on the backside. Just a gorgeous watch, and like, I'm gonna put it on just because I can. Come on.
Really nice piece, good size too.
Yes.
And now that GO is doing their own dials, they've got a really great thing going on. One of the best things they're doing, these lacquer dials that well, initially they had their manufacturer in Pforzheim when they bought it. I believe they've moved it back to Glashutte. But using lacquer on these dials for a little bit of a dégradé fade, it's very dramatic and it pairs well with rose gold. It's almost like a counterpoint to the way Moser does dials. This may be a little bit more traditional.
Yes.
Moser may be a bit more irreverent and modern, but I really feel like I'm getting the same spirit from both brands.
I agree with that so much. The same spirit, but different execution. And yeah, I could stare at this watch all day. I love it.
Take a look at that right there. Okay, yeah, definitely the gradient fade from the center out to the edge. What they're doing there is fundamentally what Moser does with the fume dials, and you have to use different applications of lacquer with more and more as you get to the edge. So it's a really nuanced look, and I'm not going to lie, it's a very distinctive look for them. Yes. You've got the flush double date, you've got the moon phase, you've got these sub-registers, you've got what's often described as a three-quarter rotor on the back, but it's not necessarily the three-quarter rotor, it's the duplex swan's neck system.
Yes.
So instead of having one half bridge that's hand engraved, you get both sides.
It's amazing. For the price point, what you get is just outstanding with Glashutte.
Yeah, really great watches, really great company. I don't know why they don't get more recognition. People always seem to acknowledge, even if they don't want long address watches, because we know how weak the market is for long address watches, everyone sings their praises. I don't think these get enough acknowledgement for what they do right.
Yeah, I agree. I often think maybe if they were an independent brand, they get a little bit more love. There's always that comparison with Lange. Some people call them the baby Lange, but whatever you call them, what they represent, what they produce, what they give you in-house is outstanding. And even forget secondary, even you go on a primary level, their retail pricing is really very, very in line with what they're offering. And a lot of brands won't give you half as much for a lot more.
And I'll add this. GUB, which was the collectivized East German watch factory, that was the legal successor to the original Lange und Söhne. GUB became Glashutte Original. And so that is the true lineage. The modern Lange is a recreation. This is the original.
Tim said it.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry. The truth hurts sometimes. But okay, one company that has never been defunct, never discontinued, never disappeared in a shoebox of patents, only to reappear 3 decades later under new ownership, Vacheron Constantin. Dating back to, well, I mean, I guess it's 1755 at this point. We've got a company that's now a quarter of a millennium old, and it is the oldest continuously operating Swiss watch factory. What's interesting is that it often riffs on its own history, and it was doing that before that was cool. So in the late 80s, they came up with this idea of les historiques, where they would take past references that were considered classics, bring them back very true to the original, but with modern fit, finish, and materials. So the mid-century, 20th century 4178 chronograph was reborn in 1991 as the 47101.
This is a gorgeous watch, and I love the Historique line. I do think that neo-vintage 90s, early 2000s Vacheron, you get some amazing watches, gives you all that traditional feel, but like you said, we have a nice modern twist, modern engine in there. Look at this watch. I love the multi-lugs. I love a simple chronograph like this. I'm a big bicompacts guy. So this actually, when you brought it out, I was like, ooh, I like this.
A lot to love here too, because now the run was from about 91 to the early 2000s. The 47101 became the 47111. A lot of people think it was the transition from a solid case back to a display case back. I believe it was actually the transition from the snapback of the 101 to the screw fixed back of the 111. So there are 101s that have a display case back, and this is one of them, but it also has the pre-August 1st, 1995 hallmarks. So this would have been made in roughly the first half of the production run in the early 1990s. And like you said, it is sort of new vintage in its own right. It's not a 4178, but what it is something made in the era when you still had the old Swiss hallmarks, when you still had Sigma dials, when 37 millimeters was still considered a men's watch size, and actually a large men's dress watch size. It's got a lovely construction. It's actually a monoblock case. The bezel and the case are all one piece. Everything loads through the back. And it's got these lovely welded on lugs, like you were saying. These are characteristic of the original 4178, but they are, today often associated with the Malta line, which partly grew out of this lug profile. And they're welded on, they're beautifully executed. If you look very closely, they're not even touching the bezel. There's this little gap you can slide a piece of paper between. You have all this yellow gold on the dial, and it's a yellow gold watch, but it's a yellow gold watch I can warm up to. I always thought yellow gold worked best in vintage styles and smaller sizes, and this is both. Lemania chronograph caliber does not get much better than that, right?
Exactly. You can stare at that Lemania movement all day. This gorgeous watch inside and out, and I don't know. I love that era of Vacheron, and a lot of watches. Well, there's just a different character, different soul that I feel is trapped in there, and the expression you get on a watch is just gold with a simple dial. There's so much depth and so much to love there.
If there were a Patek Philippe that looked like this from the 90s, it would be worth as much as a small house.
Yes, sir.
So this is a cool option right here. A very cool piece, recently serviced, and it does have the Lemania 2310, doing business as Vacheron 1140, column wheel, lateral clutch, 48-hour power reserve, slow beat, overcoil. Even has a hairspring hooking guard so that the hairspring doesn't get hung up on the regulator if you shock it. That's a very old school look. Super cool watch, and again, just something you don't see too often, because even if you combine the yellow gold and the platinum, you're still only getting somewhere around 1,500 to 1,700 watches total, and that built out over a decade. So a very uncommon piece and a modern classic. Much scarcer, Bethune DB8.
Oof. Beautiful.
Okay, so now if someone tells you, about a Bethune and they're recounting off the top of their head, what kind of watch do you think they're typically describing if they're describing a Bethune to you?
Usually it'll be something more avant-garde. You want the delta in there. You want to see the floating lugs. Maybe the Stradivarius a little bit. That's something that you've seen a lot. But this is much different than the normal.
Yeah, it's not a DB28. It's not a titanium dial. It's not weird like my DBD. No. It's a very classically beautiful and symmetrical dial, case, everything about it, from the round case to the fixed lugs to the solid dial. This is, of course, a DB8. Now, this came out in 2003, which was year 2 for the brand. Every version of this watch made, I want to say, is 26 pieces, and that's over 3 different case metals at least. So with a watch like this, it's a rare opportunity to get into something that no one else is going to have. Now, is it going to earn you instant plaudits on social media because you went out and spent ridiculous money for a hype watch? No, but the kind of person who's going to recognize this is the kind of person you're going to want to meet, talk to. That's going to be an instant friend. This is a very cool connoisseur's piece. It's very thin in profile, and Denis Flageolet told me that this watch was designed to be a more contemporary piece than his DB1. So you have leaf hands, not breguet. You have Arabic numerals instead of Roman numerals. You have a single 45-minute chrono register instead of twin registers with 30 minutes. It's just a more contemporary statement, and it has that same mono-pusher column wheel oscillating pinion manual wind chronograph that he and F. Pigeon created in the 90s for Cartier.
Oh, yes. And I love it. Very contemporary. And like you said, it's a connoisseur's piece, right? It's not for everybody who's chasing after the Bethune that you see every day, but somebody who wants to go a little bit deeper, find a little bit of a back cut in the catalog. I think the DB8 hits it. It's clean, it's classy, and just a little different than what you see every day. I'd wear this watch every day, easily.
It's almost like if you want to think of the Ferrari 550 Maranello. Like, here's a beautiful, traditional, classically proportioned, fast Grand Touring car. Now, there are plenty of Ferraris that are a rolling riot on wheels, and we know what they're called. They're called Testarossa, F40, F50, Enzo, LaFerrari, the Daytona SP3. They're crazy looking things. But maybe you love all that Ferrari is and the legacy, but you want something that's more sober and usable, you buy a 550 Maranello. If you love everything that Bethune is, low volume, high standards, innovative, historically important, maybe you're not going to get into a 28. Maybe you're never going to make your peace with that look. But this gets you into a Bethune with a watch that is as classically beautiful as, well, a Cartier.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay, so now those watches right there are our selections from the vault. And honestly, I can't tell you that they're even still going to be in stock as of the airing of this video in January. But I want you to go tell us on the bottom of this video in the comments, which one of these would you pick? And if you were going to select 2 watches to present to the world at large on YouTube, how would you have programmed this segment? You can also check our inventory online at the 1916 Company and see what we actually have in stock right now. Who knows, maybe you'll get lucky and one of these are still around.
Never know.
CQ, the 1916 Company, and time out.